Hi friends, welcome to English Study Point. Today in this video lecture I am going to discuss idea of Eurocentrism and its impact on Western comparative literature. Eurocentrism is a worldview that prioritizes and focuses on European culture, values and history at the expense of non-European perspectives. It means that it is a sort of worldview or an idea where European culture, its history, values, and perspectives are used as the primary point of reference, and its sidelines or it at the same time try to ignore non Western point of view. It can shape aspects of academia, so it manifests in this idea manifests in various disciplines, which includes comparative literature, and it prioritizes European literature and its theoretical framework. Here we see that how this idea of Eurocentrism tried to affect Western comparative literature. So this idea gives primacy to European histories and narratives and try to ignore non-European civilization, which means European literary works are positioned as the historical standard for literary evolution, whereas non-European texts are overlooked or marginalized in literary history. Eurocentric literary canons prioritizes Western authors and texts produced by them. This will eventually lead to lack of representation of non-Western literary traditions in academia. Here we begin to notice a kind of canonical primacy which only allows European works to be considered as benchmarks for classical works, and also it highlights that there is limited inclusion of non-European texts in the canon. Third one is value judgments in literature stem from European aesthetic criteria, whereas literature from other cultures is measured against European standards. That means that aesthetics as well as themes in literature, they are too judged by European standards, whereas there is underrepresentation of other varied cultural narratives. In Eurocentrism, there is emphasis on narratives and forms that are common in European literature. Other narrative structures are considered as exotic or alternative. This means rare, and this point highlights that some sort of universal validity is granted to European narratives, whereas alternative storytelling forms are undervalued in this particular concept called Eurocentrism. European languages are seen as vehicles of superior form of literature. It automatically decreases study of literature in indigenous languages. Here we see that European language, particularly English, dominate as the language of literary discourse, and when it is chosen in literature, then it automatically try to increase its value, whereas indigenous and other non-dominant languages are underrepresented. European literature is believed to carry universal values, whereas specific cultural context of non-European literature is often ignored. What we notice here in this point is that interpretations made by people are based on European cultural assumptions, and there is misreading or simplification of non European works. Then, in another point, we notice that theories and methodologies derived from European scholars are more favored, whereas indigenous languages and non Western theoretical contributions are ignored, which means that theoretical frameworks are also developed from European thoughts, whereas non European literary models are totally overlooked or they are completely ignored. Another point is works based on European language translations are more preferred. That means works that resonate with European sensibilities are more favored, and it is Eurocentric tastes which try to influence or through which non European works are published or translated. There is dominance of Eurocentric curricula, and only fewer courses offer non Western literary studies, which means Eurocentric curricula dominate literary departments as well, and status of other non Western literature is elective or specialized, not become core requirements of curricula. So, this is what Eurocentric perspective says. Comparative literature methods are developed mostly through European literary frameworks, whereas non European literary frameworks are not regarded as equally valid, which means European language are the primary medium of comparative studies, and non European language and their literature are less studied or taught. There is dominance of European historiography, which means literary histories. This Eurocentric perspective allows us to only believe in European history as an authentic source through which we are able to know about past. So literary history centers only Europe, and non-European literary history is often considered as peripheral or marginalized. Use of European centric ideologies to interpret texts, whereas indigenous interpretive techniques are totally sidelined. This particular point emphasizes that texts from outside Europe are interpreted through Eurocentric lens, and when they are interpreted through Eurocentric lenses, then there is a production of such kind of interpretation which totally lack an understanding about source culture. European authorial representation. So there is predominance of European authors in representation in the sphere of literature. They are more encouraged to write or share their concerns, whereas non-European authors are frequently exoticized. European works are more focused, which means that European literature is more researched and documented, and there is lack of comprehensive research on other literatures. It favors teaching and scholarship of European text. That means this particular point emphasizes that academic programs are also organized in such a way that it promotes use of European texts, and also scholars specializing in non-European literature are less prominent, whereas scholars specializing in European literature are more prominent, and their importance is at another level. Dominance of Eurocentric theories. So Eurocentric theories guide or try to guide literary analysis, how we should do literary analysis of our work, whereas non-Western literature and its criticism and theory are less integrated into the frameworks of literary analysis. There is European intellectual dominance of European intellectual tradition, which means this sort of intellectual tradition which is European, or which is totally based on European point of view, it actually shapes the study of comparative literature, and alternative traditions and methodologies are sidelined as per this perspective or this idea called Eurocentrism. Only European works get recognition and authors receive awards, which means literary recognition and awards are bestowed based on Eurocentric criteria, whereas non Western writers and their works may not receive deserved recognition. Then with this video lecture ends here. Hope this video lecture will help you in your UGC NET English Literature exams.